Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, wherever you're joining us today in today's live lecture coming to you from Nkoloma Wisdom University. Today's date is Oye Market Day in the Igbo lunar calendar, and in the Roman Catholic calendar, today's date is 7/29. 2025. Remember, at Nkoloma, we always advise you to use your naturally given common sense, which we call akonuche, to evaluate all the issues that you are seeing and hearing before you make a decision. Also, we are here to decolonize your mind by giving you the correct information, because most of the information that you are getting and things that you are saying are not actually what they are. And that's why we package and present lectures from Igbo man, Biafran, and African perspectives. And that's why we are asking you to always like, comment, and share. And in addition, subscribe, join us, and follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. And right now, we are live on YouTube. We are live on Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. So you don't have no reason not to join this lecture. And the title of today's lecture is Governor Chukwuma Soludo of Anambra State. The building of a chapel inside the new government house is a wrong idea. The building of a chapel inside the new government house by the Anambra State government is very, very wrong. And it shows colonial democracy excesses, misplacement of priorities, and religious imposition on our people. That's what it shows. Because we all witnessed when President Tinubu visited Anambra State on May 8, 2025. That was when he opened the new government house for Anambra State. And the way our people do things, the question is, do our people actually need the government house? Even if the budget that contained the building of this government house was passed by the Anambra State House of Assembly, is building a government house for Anambra State what the majority of Anambra people want? Does the majority of Anambra people want the state to use their money to build a government house at this time? How about using that money to build a factory? Isn't that better that we use that money, because of the way things are in our land right now, to build a factory, either by the government or in conjunction with private partnership, a factory that can provide at least 1,000 to 2,000 people jobs, working 24 hours a day, different shifts. Isn't that better than building a new government house at this time? And when we copy this Western democracy, we don't copy everything. We just copy a few. Because even in America, for example, if the state of Texas wants to spend their money on something, they put it in the vote. It is part of the voting during the election, or they can have an election to vote whether the people want this project or not. Because it is the people's money. It is not the people, it is not Governor Soludo's money or those in the house. No, it is the people that will decide whether they need this project or not. And then if they need it, then they will approve it. Because you know what is going on in many African countries, including Igbo land and Biafra, where the governor or even the president rubs the back of the National Assembly, or in this case, Anambra, the State Assembly. Each rubs their back, not minding, not putting the people, not considering what the people are passing through and what the people actually needed. And that is wrong. And that is why we are using this lecture to say that the priorities of Igbo, Biafran, and African government should be placed right. That this one was a wrong priority. We at Nkolom Hadum are saying that the Igbo man, the Biafran, and African government should always remember your history. Remember your history before you start embarking on projects or deciding how you should handle public money. In particular, in the case of the Igbo man and Biafrans, don't forget, any leader should know that before you make a decision, remember that the Igbos were enslaved. We are also colonized and defeated in the Nigerian Civil War, and now highly marginalized. There's great unemployment. Our people are suffering. Our youths are being imprisoned, killed, a lot of migration and poverty in our land. These are the things that should come to your mind before you make any decision that will involve public money. In addition, we don't have much. We don't have roads linking all the towns and the villages and all the appearances in our villages. We don't have roads everywhere. We have to have roads across all the roads that is in our land. How about railways? Both the railways that carry goods and the one that carry people. The fast trains, the fastest trains, have we gotten it? The answer is no. How about erosion control? Are we able to control all the erosions in our land? The answer is no. Do we have low cost or free 24-hour permanent electricity in our land? The answer is no. Do we have security, adequate security? Yesterday in our lecture, we presented how people are being killed in Biafra land every day on a daily basis. And we don't have security. And we don't have food security. We are not self-sufficient in food production. Our people are hungry. And therefore, monies collected on behalf of the people should be used wisely and not to build a government house. The government houses that our leaders, especially in Biafra land and Igbo land, are building, trying to follow others. You're looking at a governor or a state of Sokoto or Zamfara or Lagos or Kaduna. We are not the same. We should not be following what others are doing, because the Igbo race, the Biafran, have passed through different history and experience and continues to suffer up to this day. The government leaders, if you are lucky to be a governor or House of Reps or state assembly member or commissioner or any position you are holding in Biafra land, it's supposed to be coming from your house. Why should we have to spend the meager resource that we have to be building a government house for one person or a few people, while majority of the population is in poverty? We don't have all the required infrastructure, no hospital, no practical education. Our people are suffering. Does it make any sense? That is why Nkolom Hadum was set up, so that you can see things from another angle. You do not just follow things one way. It is time we stop looking at things one way. You have to be logistical. You have to be analytic. You have to consider everything before you make a decision. And that is why you should be following us at Nkolom Wisdom University, because we make you think, we make you rationalize, we make you reason out of the box. That is what we are making you to do at Nkolom Wisdom University. And so these meager resources that we have, plus all the problems we have in our land, why can't all these governors, commissioners, House of Assembly members be coming from their houses, and then they build an office where you come from your house to the office, do your job for 8 hours or 10 hours or 12 hours, and go back to your house, to the house where you were before you were elected or appointed to any governmental position. That's what we are saying. That's this idea of building a government house when our people are still suffering. It is wrong. We shouldn't be following others. We should show others, other cultures, that we really are smart people, that we are really reasonable people. But if we leave all our problems and start to follow other cultures who doesn't have the same experience like we did, like we do, then we are foolish. Yes, we are. If we forget our history, forget everything that our people are going through right now, and you are using the money meant for everybody in the state, in Anambra State, or in other states in Biafra land, to start building a government house at any time, is a wrong idea. Government houses will be necessary when we have security, when we have food sufficiency. There's no poverty. People are not hungry in our land. When we have 24-hour electricity, when we have very good hospitals, both foreign one and local ones, when we have practical education, when we're able to control our erosions, make sure there's no unemployment anywhere in the land of Biafra. Then and then can you talk about building a government house for one person or few individuals. That is what we are saying. That the idea of even building that government house is unnecessary at this time in view of the conditions of our people in our land, in our states, and other states in Biafra land. And then, to make matters worse, a chapel was among the budgets that was made as part of that government house. What is a chapel? A chapel is a small place of Christian prayer and worship that can be inside or outside of a larger building or institution, which means as you have that massive government house that Governor Soludo built, they have the small place there, which is a prayer house. Why should you have such a thing in the government house? Why should you have it? And that is what we classify as one of the colonial democracy excesses of using our meager resource, the little money that we have, to start to add that prayer house inside that government house. And we are saying, why don't you use that money to build a house for a poor person in the village? It is better to use that money for a chapel in the government house to build a house for a poor person in Anambra State, or use it to open a business to support somebody to go into business, than using it to build a chapel. Plus, it is misplacement of priorities. It is misplacement of priorities because like I said earlier, that money will have been used for something else in view of the enormous need in Anambra State for the generality of our people. And we are saying that it is also religious imposition on our people. Why can't the governors pray in his room? Even if he wants to pray with his family, why can't they come out to their parlor and pray? If they don't want to pray together, they can pray individually in their rooms. Why should we have a chapel? And another question is this: why are you building a chapel? Is the government house only reserved for Christians? Is that reserved for Christians? That is another religious extremism. It is religious extremism to start to build a chapel for Christian worship in a government house that belongs to everybody. For those worshiping the colonial Western religion and those worshiping our own traditional indigenous religion. It's just like the government of Nigeria that built a mosque inside the Aso Rock. What does it tell you? It means that Nigeria is a Muslim country. So by building a chapel in the Anambra State government house, does it mean that Anambra State is a Christian state? Anambra State is not a Christian state. There's no census. There's no poll that was conducted to show. And even Anambra State Assembly, House of Assembly, never passed a law saying that Anambra State is a Christian state. And that is the irony of the whole thing. It is religious extremism and creating confusion in future for our people. And so that's why we at Nkolom Hadum, we are condemning that action by the governor to use the meager resource that we have. We are struggling to survive, to build a chapel for Christian worship inside the Anambra State government house. That is what we are saying. And we want the government, we want Soludo to know that doing that will not stop the exodus of our people from the colonial Western religion to our own ancestral indigenous religion, because our people have known the truth now. Many have followed Western religion for years without anything to gain. And many have followed Western religion and see that there's no road there. It's just fake promises and exploitation. And our people are moving back. It will not stop it. But we are here to advise that should be corrected as quickly as possible to make our states better. And before we continue, we have to beg you to please like our lecture, comment, share it so that everybody will get it. Also, join us, subscribe, follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. And so what we are saying is that for Governor Soludo, Chukwuma Soludo, to build a chapel inside the new government house that he built is wrong, because it shows colonial democracy excesses and extremism, misplacement of priorities, and religious imposition on our people. And that's why we at Nkolom Hadum have decided to use that to open the eye of our people to understand what is at stake. And we are saying that even though President Tinubu opened that new government house on May 8, 2025, that it is not what the people want. That government house is not what majority of the people of Anambra State want. Because even though the House may have passed it in the budget, it's not what the majority of the people want, because there's no poll, it wasn't voted on. And as we copy all these foreign colonial Western institutions and practices, including the democracy, even in America, even in Texas, if Texas wants to do a project that they will borrow money from, that will cost them a lot of money, people's money, they will put it in the voting. The people have to approve it. But in this case, it was not approved by the people of Anambra State to even build that government house. And we are saying, how about if all the money and the big land used to build that government house was used to build a factory by the government or in conjunction with private partnership that will employ up to 1,000 to 2,000 Anambrarians? Wouldn't that be better? While the governor and his people working will be coming from their house to work. They just have an office where they come every day to do 8 hours, 10 hours or 12 hours and go back to their house. That is what we should be doing now and not wasting our meager public money on projects that benefits only one person or a few. And we are saying that all governments in Igbo land, in Biafra land, and Africans, and particularly the governments of the Igbo people, the Biafran people, should always remember their history. That we are enslaved people. We were colonized. We were defeated in the Nigerian Biafran War. And we have been largely marginalized. The most marginalized race in the world. And we have one of the biggest unemployment, if not for Mbaboy, if not for apprenticeship, we have the greatest amount of unemployment in our land. And also, we migrate a lot. There's poverty. Our people are suffering. Our youth are being imprisoned and killed. And in addition, we don't have security. We don't have food security, food sufficiency and security. We don't have good health care. We don't have erosion control. We don't have 24-hour electricity, free or low cost 24-hour permanent electricity. We don't have it. No hospital. So many things are lacking. We don't have roads. We don't have railways. We're supposed to have high-speed rails connecting all the cities in Biafra land, from Port Harcourt to Aba to Owerri to even Cross River to Bayelsa to Enugu to Oka to Nnewi to Onitsha. We don't have those. Therefore, it is unnecessary. It is misplacement of priorities to be using the meager resources of Anambra State to build a government house, talk less of building a chapel. And then our leaders should not be looking at others. Why should we be looking at others? The many states in Nigeria are not experiencing what our people are experiencing. You shouldn't be looking at others. You should look at the peculiar situation of the Igbo people, of the Biafran people, before you make a decision. And to add salt to injury, this governor also built a chapel, somewhere to be praying for the Christians in the government house. And a chapel is a small place of Christian prayer and worship that can be inside or outside of larger buildings or institutions, as stated by Wikipedia. Why should he use the meager resource of the state to add this praying ground? Why can't he pray in his room? Why can't the family of the governor each be praying in their particular rooms? And if they want to do a family prayer, they come to the parlor and do it. Why should we have a separate place built with public money without approval? That is what we are asking from Nkolomahadum Wisdom University. And therefore, we are saying that it is part of that colonial democracy excesses, where power is handed over to one person or few people, and they do whatever they want without minding, because they have security, they are given protection, and they do whatever they want. And we're saying here that that approach is very, very wrong. And in yesterday's lecture, we are still advocating to go back to our own ancestral, indigenous, republican democracy of our forefathers. And we are also saying that the building of that chapel is a misplacement of priorities. If not, that money should have been used to build a house for those in poverty in our land, or use it to start a business for 1 or 2 or 3 individuals. Empower people, not empowerment. You are buying wheelbarrow, you are buying tailoring material for somebody. Empower people strong. And we are also saying that it is religious imposition on our people, because as far as we know from colonial, Anambra State is not a Christian state. There's no election to show that. There's nothing practical to show that. Therefore, for Governor Soludo to single-handedly, or whoever is advising him to have done that, is imposition of his religion on the government of our people. Assuming, which means that somebody that is not a Christian may not be able to occupy the government house. Is that what you are saying? It's just like the Nigerian government building a mosque, inside the government house, or using Nigerian money to sponsor pilgrims. You are using the Anambra State money to do to spend on the Christian things, which is wrong, because Anambra State is made up of people that doesn't, the money belongs to all of us. Therefore, before you use it for any particular thing, you have to get our approval. That's what we are saying. And then finally, we want the governor Soludo to know that even at that, it will not stop our people from moving back to our ancestral indigenous religion, because many have followed the colonial Western religion and have seen that there's no benefit, only exploitation, deceit, fake promise, lying that they get, and therefore they are moving back. So the exodus will continue. That is what we want the governor to know, and to correct his extremism on religion. Because one time he has said that Anambra State is a Christian state without proof, and he's doing everything to show that Anambra. Come on, governor, go back to history. Go and find out when the colonialists came in, when the colonial religion came into our land. Go and find out when they came. It was forced onto our people. That you have it doesn't mean that you are right. And with this, we shall be bringing today's lecture to an end. And before we do, we have to encourage all Africans to stand up, to work hard so that we can dismantle the foreign colonial artificial boundaries in our land. Because those artificial boundaries are the sources of the wars, the crimes, the marginalization, the poverty, the debt, and all the problems that we are having. And with this, we shall bring today's lecture to an end. Also, today, I want to bring an interview that was done about Cambodia and Thailand. They're having some problems now. I will show it to you in a few minutes. Before the next 30 minutes, I will show it to you. Just listen to that, and you see how few countries in the world is trying to change everything, causing problem here and there. You see from there also that this Western democracy, they are just using it to control you, not to benefit your people, but to benefit them. And with this, we shall bring it to this lecture to an end. Thank you very much for joining me, and have a very, very good night, good day. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Please share it, like, comment, and share. Thank you.